going to call the meeting to order. And the first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I'd just like to note that Dr. Tracy Youngberg, our superintendent, is dealing with a unexpected family matter this evening and won't be with us. So we have our assistant superintendent, Neil Weathers, sitting in for her with us this evening. Welcome, Neil. Welcome to the table. And now I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the May 22nd Board of Education meeting.
So moved.
Motion made by Mark,
Second.
seconded by Brendan. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. And now we have public comment. I think there's somebody, Ruben, you're signed up to speak? Yeah, you come up here to the podium and press the mic so that it's green. Yeah, you don't have to hold it.
All right.
You
Thank you.
need to press, is the mic on?
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
Just please identify yourself for the record. Thanks.
Yep. Hi, my name is Ruben Shershak. I'm a father of 2 Wyndham Center School students. I'm here today in reference to the decision to close Wyndham Center School at the end of the 24-25 school year. As a member of the Wyndham Board of Education, you have the responsibility of making decisions, educational decisions for children of Wyndham. The choices you make will not only impact current students, but the future students for the rest of their lives. A decision to close Wyndham Center School only a few years after the COVID-19 pandemic that negatively impacted all those children will have yet another detrimental impact on impressionable young children. During the family forum at Wyndham Center School on June 4th, Superintendent Dr. Tracy Youngberg provided 0 reasons on how the closure of Wyndham Center School will have a positive impact on their mental, social, and physical health of the children of Wyndham. Not only were no benefits to the children mentioned, but she only answered parent questions in ways that benefited her argument of budget and enrollment. The fact that she was unable to address the benefits of children raises a huge red flag on the closure of that school. A decision as big as closing a school should be based on the needs and benefits of children and not only on finances and misleading data. Not only are there 0 benefits to closing the school to the children, but there are clearly more what ifs than known answers at this time. During the family forum, she was extremely uncommittal on what the future holds for current and future students. She was unable to provide clear responses to multiple crucial questions. If these questions cannot be answered, then a life-altering decision should not be made at this time. Clearly, there are too many moving parts for her to have thoughtful answers on. We're making choices that impact hundreds of children. Decision makers shouldn't have uncertainty and what ifs. This choice doesn't just impact students for just 1 year, it impacts current and future students forever. Having this uncertainty and still deciding to close a school is extremely irresponsible and shows the community that the board is not thinking of what is best for the best interest of those children. The children in our community are not just a number and a statistic. They are full of life, they are eager to learn, they have goals, and they are the future of our society. By closing Wyndham Center School, this will have an irreversible negative impact on our community and the current and future students of Wyndham. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. And for people who are watching, we're not allowed to engage back and forth. We just take the public comment. Anybody else want to speak during public comment? Okay. Thank you very much. I just want to mention to the board members that I was as the liaison to the Phoenix Academy. People who are watching may know that each board member is a liaison to a particular school in town. They had their rising ceremony today for their first class of students for this year. And it was very impressive. And thus I'm wearing the swag tonight. We will see 6 of them graduating with the regular high school graduation on Monday night, which is wonderful. It was very inspiring. I also want to mention that in light of the fact that Dr. Youngberg has been pulled away this evening for a family matter, the board will still be meeting in executive session this evening to discuss the evaluation, her annual evaluation. But there will be no coming out of the executive session with any possible action this evening because we will not have had a chance to discuss with her. So if anybody is planning on waiting around until after we get out of executive session tonight, there will be no action after executive session. There will be public comment, though, at the end of the meeting. And we also have an executive session about another matter that is cited on the agenda. Thank you. And graduations are happening as we speak. It's a very happy time of year for many families and many students. And I know many of the board members are participating, and I want to thank you all for doing that. I want to thank the staff and everybody who's putting together these graduations. It's always fun to see how different each one is. Thank you. Now we'll go on to superintendent's reports, and Neil is going to kick us off.
Good evening, everybody. The first item I have tonight is the WHS, the Windham High School Literary Magazine, titled this year Mirrors and Windows. What I'd like to do is invite Dara Bowling from Windham High School up to the stage. I believe she might have some students with her, and they are going to present this year's literary magazine.
Welcome.
Okay, sorry. My name is Charlotte Ortiz. I'm the chief editor of this year's Mirrors and Windows magazine. It is my honor to present it to you guys, and I have copies for you right here. But before I give that to you, I would like to read the little like blurb or whatever for why we picked this year's title. Can you hold that for me? Oh, Unity. Our world is much more fractured than the pandemic. In many ways, we have moved away from each other, polarized by our convictions and our unwillingness to listen to each other to make things better. So many of us believe that rightness lives in whoever can scream the loudest, that we have lost the common bond that held us together. But here's the secret that only the artists and the writers and the musicians know, the beautiful things that live within us, the poetry and the songs and the paintings and the stories, those are the things that will save us. Ultimately, the art and literature within each of us unites us, so we must strive to connect with that beauty and to see it in others. If we can do that, then unity will truly save the world. Thank you.
While Chyla is handing out copies to the board, we do have copies for everybody, so I'll come around quietly and quickly.
As always, it's wonderful to get these volumes each year. And thank you to you, Dara, and your students who put this all together.
Okay, thank you. Next up, I would like to talk about the senior parade that took place on June 5th. This is the second annual senior parade that we had in Windham. Seniors donned their caps and gowns. They boarded buses and paraded through their former schools. Students were split into two groups and departed for their elementary schools, after which they converged at Wyndham Middle School to parade through the middle school and WECC. And many of our seniors posed for photographs with their former teachers, as well as some of their own family members that were in those schools. It was extremely lovely. I followed one of the groups of buses. It was just a great time. Some of the pictures are posted. There's someone that potentially has some potential as maybe a future mayor of Wyndham there. The kids loved him. So there was just, it was wonderful. So anyways, and then when they departed, they went down Main Street. There was a lot of honking and celebrating the seniors as they went down, and then they took a beautiful picture back at the high school. So what just a lovely event, and I'm glad it's the second year and hope there's many more to come. Any questions on the senior parade? Next, we have a great thing to always talk about. That is our Teacher of the Year and Para of the Year. So basically, our Teacher of the Year this year is Amanda Condren. She's yay, you can clap for that. Yeah. So she is a first grade teacher at Charles H. Barrow STEM Academy. She was chosen this year basically based on her inclusive and supportive nature, the way she helps her students to believe in themselves, her reflective nature, her refusal to settle, and her recognition of and desire to represent all Wyndham teachers. Amanda has been part of the Wyndham Public Schools family for 11 years. So way to go, Amanda. And then our kindergarten paraprofessional, happens to be our paraprofessional of the year, is Myra Evans, and she is from North Wyndham. And then, yeah, and Myra was selected because she steps up for her students this year. There was a staffing shortage that occurred, and she was there and she recognizes that each student is unique and tailors her approach accordingly. She joined the Wyndham family 3.5 years ago and exemplifies the commitment and pride of Wyndham Public Schools. So we are very proud of both of them. And then, and we also have recognitions at all the buildings, teachers and paras of the year. So as you can see here, they're listing the WECC recognition for Adriana Geitler and Ajurita Apante for them. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to read all like 100 names here, but William Toledo Perez, Mary Preventure, Catherine Brunner, Tony Lopez, Elizabeth Olet, and Aaron Frost. I guess I am going to read all the names, and then I think we have one more. Oh, look at me. Okay. So Berta Hernandez, Miriam Rivera Cardona, Wedgie Daniels, Emily Pacheco, Alice Douglas Morales, and Andrea LaPlaca from Natchog Elementary. So that is all of our selected individuals. Yay for all of them. Any questions? No? Okay. We are going to move on to the next item, communication and family forums. So since the May 22nd vote to close Wyndham Center School after the 24-25 school year and move fifth graders back to Wyndham Middle School for the 25-26 school year, the district has begun to start to have communicating these changes to the Wyndham community. So some examples of our efforts to ensure our stakeholders are informed include a district letter. We had a district all call. There's a website link on the district's homepage with information. We have met with Wyndham Center staff on June 3rd. Actually, Ms. Martinez and myself went there today to also be available for staff for any questions they might have. And there's been family forums. June 3rd at Natchog School and Wyndham Center School was later. And then this week, June 10th, Sweeney School and North Wyndham School. There's a district website banner reminding families of these events in addition to our school-based reminders. And this is what's taken place so far.
I would just add that this is not the end. This is just the beginning, and we're learning from these conversations and planning to adapt and do, not everything will be in person. If people can't make in-person meetings, we're trying to figure out other ways for parents to learn about and what we're thinking and to communicate with us. So there are a lot of ideas out there right now about things that we can do more of over the summer and as we get into the next school year. And I want to encourage board members and members of the community, if you have ideas about things that we can do, to please communicate them with the board and or the superintendent. Mary, I saw your hand was up.
Yes, I just wanted to say I still feel that this is belated, and having been a parent during a lot of turmoil at Natchog, and actually, having that temporarily closed, students being moved around, and also having fifth grade suddenly being moved, that it really is important to include parents and families and staff at a much earlier juncture. So I am still myself processing this idea, and just have to say it's not really settled in.
Thank you, Mary. Anybody else? Katina?
Yes, I had the privilege of attending North Windham Schools presentation and discussion with the parents. I counted 12 adults at the meeting. The questions were answered, and I was happy to be there and, participate in the discussion.
Thank you, Katina. I don't see any other hands, so let's go on, Neil.
Okay. The next item is another celebration, big year for Natchog. They were selected as a red, white, and blue school. The program recognizes K-12 public and private schools that are going above and beyond in the delivery of civic education. By participating in this program, schools are promoting being active and engaged members of their community. It's a partnership program between the Connecticut Secretary of State, the Connecticut State Department of Education, and the Connecticut Democracy Center and residents at the Old State House. So sponsorship funding is provided by CT Humanities. In April, Natchog submitted their application aligned to this year's RWB theme of connecting communities. They use the storyline project, which connects Natchog students with the Cary Art Gallery and the Willimantic Library as the basis of their application, and recently learned that their submission earned Natchog School the right to carry the name of Red, White, and Blue School. Congratulations, Natchog School students, staff, and families, and their community partners. They are now listed as a red, white, and blue school on the website that's attached in your packets. So congratulations. Okay, next item is our biweekly attendance and discipline report. If anyone has any questions or comments, that is our typical report.
I don't see any hands, so you can move on, Neil. Thanks.
This next item is just to give an update. You may hear more from Katina when she gives her committee update, but this is just to let everybody know that we have some policies being listed as a first reading tonight. And some of these are repeals, and there's a few items that we actually put up for review. And the reason we put them up for review and Katina could speak to it in the committee is because some of those involved actually board procedures and protocols. So we thought that before recommending any course of action, the entire board should see and review them. But you'll hear more about that in the committee updates. Any questions? All right. Next, we have our lock-in for literacy. And I see Ms. Bowling is still here, which is great. So on Friday evening, June 7th, students participated in the annual lock-in for literacy event at Windham High School. During this annual event, which begins around 7 p.m. and ends 7 a.m. On Friday night and ends 7 a.m. on Saturday, students stay overnight and are treated to an author visit, workshops, food, and other fun stations and games throughout the night. This year's featured author was Sarah Dare Littman. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yay for me. All right. A young adult author who lives right here in Connecticut. They featured her book, Some Kind of Hate, Deep Fake and Backlash. The event began with a speech by the author, followed by reading groups that examined her books. And then they had breakout sessions and other things that went on, minute to win it challenges and such, and things that went on all into the early morning. So our thanks go out to the many volunteers it takes to make this event such a success that occurs every year. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Sarah's a friend of mine, so I was really happy to hear that she was coming into town, so. Go ahead, Katina.
Over 100 students participated, like 135?
We had about 104.
104. It was exquisite. It was so well organized. The task force was there doing painting. Sergeant Clark was there with Jara Reese from Wyndham Center, and the kids were phenomenal in showing how to transform darkness into light, anger into kindness. We were very impressed.
Thank you. And then Neil, on to the next thing.
All right. So then the next item I'm bringing up on behalf of Dr. Youngberg, as the district completes its end of year analysis, we're coming to the realization that the approval of the 24-25 calendar does not adequately support our vision for professional learning, giving several new mandates, such as Wyndham's educator evaluation system, the increasing educator diversity plan, play-based learning, and the new planning process for Wyndham High School's NEASC accreditation, to name just some of the initiatives. To that end, we are proposing the need to add 5 early dismissal days to the 24-25 calendar. These dates would be September 25th, October 23rd, November 20th, January 15th, and February 5th. Each of these days provides 2 additional hours of professional learning and still allows the district to meet its 900-hour instructional commitment required by the state. The district is working with our before and after school program to ensure our families with young children have childcare on these added early dismissal days, and our bargaining units will be provided with an opportunity to discuss this implementation of this change on their members. And then, as you will see on the agenda, it's listed as for a possible vote. And this has been a discussion that was brought up by several bargaining units, actually have been part of the discussion, and I believe welcome these early dismissal days to meet our professional development needs.
Yes, Mary?
Yeah, I just want to say I'm a little concerned about loss of learning time. At one point, once again, when my children were young and attending Wyndham schools, the early dismissal days climbed to 18, and that's really 10% of the school calendar. So I just would like to make sure we're cautious about this, perhaps looking for some different ways. I certainly think teachers need to be paid to be at their professional development, but I'm not sure where the days could be added. I would also say November and January are 2 months with lots of holidays, and lots of things, days off that occur. So, I remember again, when my children were young, it's very hard to get back into school when every single week there's days off, then you have 10 days off, then you go back and there's half days. So, those are just some of my thoughts.
Thank you, Mary. We'll have time to discuss this more under discussion items when we get down further on the agenda. Does anybody else have any quick points? Okay, thanks. So now we're on to committee reports, and Brendan, I'll hand it over to you for school planning and design.
Thank you. We met on the 23rd. It was a pretty quick meeting. We had some updates from SLI about facilities and capital improvement projects. At that point, they were still trying to figure out the heating issue in the gym at Wyndham Center. The mini split project at North Wyndham is on track to start as soon as school gets out and will be done before the end of the next school year. And they're still looking at getting quotes for work for the expanded scope of work in the rear of the middle school to fix the track and fields back there. Other than that, Mary had brought up the discussion of looking into how we use the portables and taking a close look at that to make sure that we can get out of those as soon as we can.
Thank you, Brendan. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Okay, personnel, hand it over to you, Paula.
As you remember from our last meeting, our Personnel Committee meeting was postponed to 5/29. And a little closer. Okay. Yes, we had to reschedule for May 29th. Grace gave us her usual array of HR updates, which include webinars that they continue. One such, the past month was an update on Title IX regulations, continuing to connect members of our staff with the ECSU, regarding the pathway to certification. So they're actually starting to get some staff who are engaged in that. Preparing for placement of student teachers and social work students for the next school year, as well as their school visits, which they do monthly to Sweeney, Natchog, and the Phoenix Academy this past month. And they're continuing to work with the Wyndham Senior Center and the library in recruiting volunteers for various needs in our district. In a response to a question, it was clarified that none of these volunteers would be doing work that would normally be staffed, so they're not taking away from any positions. And at the moment, there is one position that is being staffed, so to speak, by a volunteer, but that is because they're awaiting a hiring, waiting for a candidate for that position. With regard to employee retention, they continue to look for effective places to post for needed staff. And certainly there was some discussion about concern voiced about the staff at Wyndham Center School and how they would continue to address the staff there. There were 2 resignations reported for that month. And we talked about as we wait for the district's plan for the IED, the increasing educator diversity. We've submitted our plan to the state and we're still waiting the okay, at least as of May 29th. Dr. Youngberg gave the committee a preview of the Teacher of the Year and the Paraprofessional of the Year. And Katina was able to give us the first news about the Austin Foundation and the donation that's being made to help our staff, which is absolutely wonderful. Other than that, our paraprofessional negotiations continue, and we'll be starting nurses union next.
Thank you, Paula. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding the Personnel Committee? Okay, seeing none. I'm going to hand it over to you, Katina.
Bless you. Hi, good evening, everybody. The policy committee met, and always thank you to Holly and Neil and all the staff who's working. And now we have reviewed up to 85 or 86% of all the policies to see if we can adopt Shipman and Goodwin's model policies. Tonight, on the discussion, you have 4 policies for first reading, as we have suggested before, so that we can look at them and see what input do we have on those 4 policies. And it's a recommended also eventually that we have the Shipman and Goodwin model policies adopted. Also, we have some policies for review, and those are 5 different policies for you to give input and discuss next board meeting. Finally, we have quite a few policies for repeal for you to consider. I think there are 8 of them, and 1 for repeal and replace. All of that with the goal of updating and being up to date with all the mandates of the state of Connecticut legislature and the Department of Education. There are any questions? Thank you.
No questions for Katina? Okay. Thank you, Katina. And poor Mark is having some sort of postnasal drip over there, but
Well, thank you.
are you able to give the report?
I'll step up.
Okay, thank you.
That'd be good. If Brendan can lead the lacrosse team to win, I can do this. Okay, the Elementary School Construction Planning Committee, we had a brief meeting tonight before the board meeting. We have received 4 RFPs as of the deadline today. We passed out the RFP booklets to committee members that were present. There will be other booklets available through either SLY or the superintendent's office, as well as computer versions, electronic versions of it. Next Thursday, a week from this Thursday, a week from tomorrow, the committee will meet again, where we'll actually discuss the proposals and try and rank order them into what we want to see. And then the following week, we'll actually interview 1 or 2 or whoever the finalists are for approval. So we're moving ahead on the project.
Thank you, Mark. Anybody have any questions or comments? Mary?
Yeah, so are these meetings only for the committee at the moment because you're looking at proposals?
No, I think that's what any of our committee board members can attend.
I didn't see tonight's meeting.
Well, tonight wasn't
notice.
really an official meeting. Tonight, we just opened up we didn't do
Right.
anything. We officially opened up the recommendations and passed out the documents, the 4 booklets. As I say, the booklets will also be available. We have about 6 extra copies that'll be available through Dr. Youngbird's office, and SLY is working to translate some of that electronic information so that if you don't want to get the actual booklets, you can review the information. But as in the past, if you want to attend next Thursday meeting, I don't see a problem with it. You just officially can't vote, but you can certainly be there. Lynn?
Right, all the meetings are open to the public, so anybody can come.
Right, yeah, there'll
Yeah.
be an official meeting then.
So it will be at 5 o'clock
5
in
o'clock.
the evening, and it will be in central office, and everybody's welcome.
Well, thank you.
5 PM on the 20th.
Yep.
Yep. Thank you. And it will be noticed. So, thank you. So we're going to move on to discussion, and we have some special guests with us this evening to take care of item A on the agenda. And Katina, would you like to introduce this?
Absolutely. The Wyndham Task Force to Prevent Child Abuse and Neglect. And here representing our chairperson, Sergeant Josh Clark, requested from the Austin Fund at the Community Foundation of Eastern Connecticut some money to support the early childhood staff at Wyndham Public Schools who has to take and pay for a test so they can get their associate degree in early childhood, something that is absolutely required for them to continue working that level. And we have some of the staff here. So they have a gift to present to Wyndham Public Schools.
Thank you. You want to make sure you identify yourself for
Yes.
the record. Thanks.
First off, I want to thank you guys for your expertise and hard work in your professions and your experience leading up here. I don't think you guys get enough credit for the things that you guys do. I see you guys in the community all the time, all of you. And I know that you guys are professionals, and being a Wyndham resident up until recently and going through the Wyndham Public Schools, I appreciate you. Good evening. My name is Joshua Clark. I'm one of the chair members of the Task Force to Prevent Child Abuse and Neglect, like Tina said. This task force is an all-volunteer coalition comprising of members from various organizations within the community, including the schools, DCF, the police, and many more. We're proud and excited to present this generous donation from the Austin Fund at the Community Foundation of Eastern Connecticut to the task force. The contribution is specifically for the Wyndham Public Schools Head Start Early Childhood staff and will be used, as Katina said, to pay for 10 of the exams for the early Head Start. They have to use these to obtain their associate degree in early childhood education. And we do this is kind of, because in Wyndham, they're all our children. I'd like to introduce Dr. Carol Williams, who's the advisor to the Austin Family Foundation, who will give a background on how this amazing opportunity came about.
Thank you, Josh. I have to say I echo Josh's thoughts about thanking the board for your commitment, and it's clearly a challenging job, and it's wonderful that you're willing to do it. Yeah, Carol Williams. I am a trustee of the Community Foundation of Eastern Connecticut, but I'm a resident of Willimantic and Mary's neighbor. And I worked across the street at Eastern for 35 years in continuing education, which is all about working adults going back to finish a degree. So this is a special honor for me tonight. And this contribution to the school system wouldn't have been possible without collaboration of several organizations. First, of course, the funding source, which is this Austin Fund for Wyndham, and it's a donor-advised fund of the Community Foundation of Eastern Connecticut. And so what happened was staff at the Community Foundation learned of this dilemma that staff who were on the brink of finishing their associate degree and have done the hard work of taking most of the coursework would have to pay a very substantial fee to take the certification exam, which is the end of the process. So it seemed so unfair that the Community Foundation reached out and found the Austin Fund, and they were delighted to contribute. But it really took a lot of coordination to figure out how to transfer the money. And so we're all indebted to the Task Force on Child Abuse and Neglect, as well as the Wyndham Regional Community Council. And so it's been a great partnership. And as I said, this check's going to make it free for you guys to take the exam at the end of your program. And it's so nice that Joylene is here tonight. And you know, we need early childhood educators so much in this country and in Wyndham, and we are really grateful to be able to help in a very small way. I think it's a nice example of philanthropy and government and schools and volunteer organizations coming together to fill an important need. So that's it. Thank you all so much. We have a check.
I'm actually would entertain a motion to move up approval of taking this donation on the agenda. So I entertain a motion to move up number 9A to approve the donation of $4,500 from the J.P. Austin Foundation and a Community Foundation of Eastern Connecticut. That way then we can actually accept.
Wonderful.
The check.
Thank you, Lynn. And
So
So-
happy to
sergeant's gonna
say,
Who would like
present,
you making that motion, Ilda?
we happily making the motion.
To move it up on the agenda. Do I get a second?
I second that. Happily second.
Iannese? Okay, any discussion? All those in favor of moving this up on the agenda? Okay, so now we will, I'll entertain a motion to accept this donation, a wonderful donation of $4,500 for, what?
So moved.
10 women will be able to take advantage. Are they all women? 10 women will be able to take advantage of this program. And why don't you come up? And so we have a motion. Wait, Katina, we have to vote. Please sit down. And Ilda, please sit down. Okay. We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of the motion on the floor, please indicate so by raising your hands. Okay, motion is passed. Now you can all come up, take a picture.
Who's gonna take pictures?
One more. I like doing it like this. Do you mind? All right.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody.
To you. Claro, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Money person. Oh, good idea. Just grab mine. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Felicidades.
Yeah. Well, that was nice, very nice. Thank you for moving that up on the agenda, folks. So now we're on to discussion of the 8th grade trip to Puerto Rico. Is somebody telling us about this? Oh, wonderful.
I'll approve it if I can go.
I'm going to invite Nicole Bay and Nick Kukla from Barrows. They're actually presenting the trip that you'll hear about for the entire 8th grade. It was originally presented to the curriculum committee earlier in the year. So I'll turn it over to them and let them share about it.
Good evening. I'm Nicole Bay. I'm the STEM coach over at Barrows.
And I'm Nick Kukla. I am the 8th grade science teacher over at Barrows.
And the way that this opportunity came up is we were fortunate enough to go to the NSTA, which is the National Science Teachers Association conference out in Denver, Colorado. And there's this incredible vendor floor. And we happened to be walking by and there was this place called, Student Tours of America. And they're like, come talk to us. And, it's the types of trips that upper middle school and high school students would take to like Boston, New York, DC. And so I walked over and I said, do you have anything that's STEM related? And they said, actually, we do. And so when we went over to speak to them, they shared a cultural and STEM related trip that we thought fit wonderfully for Windham Public Schools. So on the first slide that you have there, it kind of gives you the basic information about the who, what, where, when, and why. Some of the great things about this is that it's not just for Barrows students. Our middle school science teachers from Barrows and the middle school worked very well together this past couple of years with the new curriculum that they have. And we've seen some great gains from that. And we want to continue our collaboration. So this is not a Barrows trip. This is open to all Windham Public Schools 8th grade students who choose to participate. It's a great, as I said, cultural and STEM opportunity for our students in Puerto Rico. They would not miss any instructional time since it happens during the April break. And just in looking at some of the great reasons for why this is good for our students to experience the culture, the geography and the natural wonders of a Latino or a Latinx location without need of a passport.
Yeah, and I think it's important to mention, just so it's not misconstrued at all. Like, we're talking about this as an opportunity to like extend the learning. We just know that sometimes when we brought this idea up initially, some people interpreted it as like we were talking about like this grand trip to cap off 8th grade, which a lot of schools do. And this is something separate from that. Those are things that, Barrows and Windham Middle work on all the time, but this is another opportunity. So I just wanted to make sure that was cool. This is an opportunity to extend a lot of the learning that's already going on in our middle schools.
Yes, and on our next slide, you'll see a couple of the highlights. It is a 5-day, 4-night trip. I mentioned that there'll be no missed school during April break. And we'll talk about the cost, but in the cost that we discuss, all expenses are included, meaning from the time that the students leave their house, go on the trip and come home, they wouldn't need to carry a penny with them. All their meals and everything would be included. And you can see highlighted there are some cultural experiences that are specific to Puerto Rico. Obviously, they would have a tour of the fort in San Juan. There are some other very kind of like grounded in culture experiences, visiting fishing villages. There's even a dance workshop. Many of their experiences for eating on that trip would be cultural as well, and some of the STEM experiences.
Yeah, and in addition to that, one of the things that kind of drew us to this trip also is that it provides the students with the opportunity to give back to the community there. So not only is it connecting them to the culture that so many of our community members come from, but also the opportunity to not only experience that firsthand, but also to give back to the community, which we think just provides a whole nother lens on the cultural experiences. And as far as the STEM experiences go, I mean, it's not often that students get the opportunity to see bioluminescent bays, whether it's a mangrove forest or, our only rainforest in North America. So this is something that we think, if approved, is really has the potential to change trajectories when students get to do these things hands-on and in person.
We all know that travel is fun, but there are some real academic and social benefits for students. And we won't read the details to you. You'll have the presentation that you can look at yourself. But the biggest idea here for us is the idea that it's tied to our curriculum, and that this is a great opportunity for many of our Spanish-speaking students to kind of shine in this environment, to use their language and to be looked at as the leaders as we travel. That doesn't often happen, but this is an opportunity for that, and we're very excited about that. You'll also notice that they discuss again about the ideas that students are challenged to open their minds about different things, about foods, about culture, about basic needs, seeing how things in other areas are done, and comparing it to their everyday life. So we're really excited about the ideas of what students can bring back to the community, so it would grow further than just the students who are able to travel.
Yeah, I just think, as I kind of mentioned a little bit on the last slide, like, we think the return on investment potential for this trip, the research is out. I mean, no matter where you look, the academic research shows that these like culturally immersive trips, where students actually get to put what they're learning in the classroom, into action in these experiences, has potential to change lives and really, offer students this opportunity that as much as we try as educators to mimic in the classroom, is really only attainable by, having these experiences in life. And yeah.
And we understand that this is a very costly trip. And we really are committed to doing the groundwork to make sure that any student who wants to put the work in and wants part of the experience would have that. And we have several ideas for that. But before we get on to that, I would just like to show you just some of the information that Students Tours of America has provided for us. I know there's often concern about, hey, we haven't traditionally taken our students this far away at this age, but do notice that we do have private security. We do have an on-call physician. These are licensed guides who have done this before. So it's not like we're branching out and just going, well, we'll see how it goes. This is an insured and licensed program that we're following. And you can see some of the exclusives that they offer there that we will get to. There's something there called the My Tour Fund. And that's one of the ways that we're going to look at trying to help with the cost for the trip. But as I mentioned, all of the meals, all of the transportation, any of their experiences will all be included in the one-time fee.
Yeah, and as Nicole and I just talked about this opportunity more and more, ever since the NSTA conference, the thing that just kept coming up over and over again was kind of these solutions we were looking for to obviously what we understand is an expense. And the two things that really rose to the top every single time we talked about it were just safety, which we feel and what we've heard of from this company and from others who have used this company is that as far as safety goes, this is like the top tier you can get. And then the other one was accessibility. And kind of as Nicole touched on, I think what we're really asking for mostly here is the opportunity to go out and basically work our butts off, for lack of a better word, to make this trip as accessible to every single student in 8th grade in Windham possible.
All right, so finally here we have our challenges and solutions. We understand that cost is probably the biggest challenge for our community. And one of the things that Student Tours of America does is they offer some online kind of bank accounting for students. It's kind of like a GoFundMe, but they don't take any portion of it. So all of the money that goes into the fund goes directly towards the student's trip. The sooner that we can agree to do this, should it be approved, the sooner students can start by saving some money into that account. We would offer lots of workshops for parents so that they would have all the information. We would offer several fundraising opportunities as well. Some of them could be just general fundraising that goes into the fund for all students, but students who are really putting the work in to help raise the funds and really are dedicated to this, they will be able to raise funds specifically for their own trip. Mr. Kukla mentioned that it's a new experience. It's something we haven't done before. So we were kind of concerned, like, how many would we have to take our first time in order for us to get the discounted prices and things? And they said that we need 10 paid people, whether it's staff, students, parents, or a mixture of all three. If we have 10 paid people, we can make this trip go. I really feel that starting small would be in our best interest since it's new to us. But I think that when we come back and having the students and the families and the teachers share out, people are going to see what an amazing opportunity this is. People are going to be invested, people are going to be excited, and the students are going to be able and willing to put that work in to do the fundraising so that no one has to miss out on this opportunity. When we presented to the curriculum subcommittee, a couple of questions that came up were, what about documentation for students? And so we double checked, and all students that are under the age of 18 do not require any documentation for travel since it's within the United States. And ground transportation to the airport is not included in the price. But I think that's a great opportunity for us to network and carpool with our families and get everybody where they need to be for the trip. And it's a great way for team building beforehand as well and making connections so everyone feels comfortable. You want to add anything to the challenges or solutions?
No, I mean, Nicole kind of said it all on that
All right.
one, but yeah, we have a lot of ideas to kind of go back to those safety and accessibility. We're willing to put in the work, and we know that once the community sees like how awesome an opportunity it is, after we kind of start small and get the ball rolling, get more and more ideas going. We just saw, you know, in the agenda piece before us, funds raised by this community for this community. For what is an awesome opportunity, and we think this is no different. And once members see that the value that this trip has, we expect a kind of a similar output, and we're willing to put the years in over time to make this again something that's really like a staple of the middle school opportunities in Wyndham.
And we are committed to this. So as you will see, there are some commitments that we are 100% committed to. We want to make sure that this is equitable and is an opportunity for all of Wyndham Public Schools, 8th grade students, if their families are interested in them participating. And there are many other things there that we will commit to with fundraising, with communication to families, communication between Wyndham Middle School and Barrows, making sure that we have safety in place, making sure that it is equitable. But most importantly to us, I think, is that last bullet. We really kind of want to be a leader in the idea that maybe not every district is doing this, but that doesn't mean that we can't. You know, that we can't forge forward, we can't be the leader in this, and be the people, who the other schools look at and go, wait a minute, if they can do this, so can we. So we know that there are other schools in the area, in the state, who do trips, who are able to have opportunities that maybe our students haven't been offered before. And we feel it's really important that no matter where your students are from, and in Wyndham, they're all our children, that we do whatever we can to make sure that they have an equitable opportunity for the same types of enriching opportunities that are out there.
Yeah, and I think the final point I'd like to say is just to really emphasize what Nicole just mentioned about making sure it's equitable. And we understand that with these types of trips, it can be lost or it's easy for it, to have its difficulties, but that's where we come in. We do this job because we love it, and we love Wyndham. And we think that with this opportunity, it presents Wyndham to be a leader. And as much as I love that for us as a community, I also just love the actual hands-on experience that this affords our students. And yeah, I'm excited. Thank you, guys.
Don't leave, don't leave.
You got it.
There may be some questions
Sure.
that people have, and I just want to say that your idea of starting this and then over the years, having it grow, because if children who are in 5th grade now hear about the 8th grade trip, they could start working toward that several years before they get to 8th grade too.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, we spoke with the tour company about that the tour fund that they have set up that again is completely, there's no portion taken out of it. We talked logistically with them if that is something that students can do as they enter our middle schools in Wyndham. Can that be something that they use year over year? And it absolutely is an option. It's something we've talked a lot about.
Who would, Dionisi?
Yes, thank you for that. Just concerns. I have a concern about, what kind of time input a family who's low income has to do for fundraisings, or how much, pressure, fundraising for events and field trips puts a lot of pressure on families, especially the low income Latino families in this area. And especially when it's coming from the borough's school. So, and being open to the middle school, maybe could get confused the message of who's organizing, who's leading it, and who's doing it. So maybe having some info sections for the middle schoolers, making them involved in decision making for this trip. But my concern comes from, who's going to be fundraising, how much time, how much input, because it feels like it's going to be double work for a student who do not have the money to go to that trip and wants to go.
I agree with you 100%. It's going to take some work on the students' part. It's going to take a lot of work on our part, and we're willing to do it. I think that starting small and allowing students, some time ahead of time, like knowing, like you're in 6th grade, you're thinking this is an opportunity, let's set it up now, get involved in the fundraising now, start raising some funds, that can help. My tour fund is kind of like a GoFundMe, so you can send the link out to your family, to the public. And I will tell you, just from not like the public, like their information is out there, but I mean, like they can put it on their Facebook page if they have a family Facebook page or something. And we have found that when families have asked for support, like we've had students go to nationals without a penny coming out of their pocket for Invention Convention. I think it's a lot of work, but we're committed to do it. And I understand that I understand your concern. It's valid.
Yeah, totally valid. And I just think it's important to note that we genuinely believe that we can make this trip accessible to all the families in Wyndham. I think the way we need to do that is by having the opportunity to. And I think that, you kind of never know what your community, your district is capable of until you try it. And that's why, we do, from all the research we've looked into, from community members we're reaching out to, from different funding sources we're looking at, from different grant opportunities we're trying to invest in and look into. We do really believe that, of course, again, it's going to start small in the beginning, but looking at, what we can offer our community as a whole over the long term, we fully believe that we can make this accessible to every student who wants to go on it.
Just concerned about the ones that, because each student has to fundraise their own. So that puts a lot of pressure on the ones that have zero budget for it and they would like to go. So if it's, they're going to raise for their own, or it's going to be like as a group?
No, we would set up fundraising opportunities and then the students would come and participate. So probably not a great example because this doesn't raise a whole lot of money, but say we have a car wash, and there are 12 students who are interested in going, 6 show up to the car wash. Well, then those 6 students, because they're putting in the time and the effort, they get the money into
That's
their
my concern.
accounts.
That is going to go to the ones that already have the time, the transportation, and the pressure is not on the families. Because, as many of our Latino families, low income, they have 2 and 3 jobs. So they're not going to be able to be bringing the kids, taking the kids, and doing so many things. As my experience working with the community, that's my only concern. That is not going to be fair to those that cannot make it for the fundraising, or cannot be there, or cannot pay for it. And then it's going to be a pressure on the kids that cannot, that do not have the money to cover, versus the one that has the budget in the family and the money to go and do not have to do extra work. That's my concern.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that we're also thinking of those families. Absolutely. You have, super valid points that logistically for some families, it is hard to get there for a car wash or some extra, event that happens not in the school day. And that, trust me, that is at the forefront of our mind. And that's where we think that through hard work and through this over time, we can kind of, what we're looking for is other avenues to supplement those families. So it's not just all on them being able to get somewhere at noon on a Saturday, so to speak. You know, whether it's again, like grant opportunities or community funding that is dispersed equitably. I know that, the district before has, you know, had criteria that they've used to determine what families are considered high needs. We'd absolutely be open to using similar criteria to figure out, okay, where is the help needed most and how do we get that help to them?
One more thing, who's selecting the cultural places that you're gonna be visiting? Is it you? Is the organization selecting where you're gonna go?
It's the organization.
The organization?
And they have done several trips for several types of communities. And they work with the different organizations that are in
Right.
Puerto Rico to make
Because
sure
I
that our students.
personally believe that there's gonna be other areas, other places that you can visit that are not those places that you have, that it could be more appropriate for those type of STEM, you know, cultural experiences. I believe that there's many other, more technology-wise, more, you know, advanced and also related to culture in many areas of Puerto Rico, not only those. That's just my advice.
I would love to hear more about that because they are willing to work with us. They gave us a sample agenda or a sample itinerary and said, we're willing to work with you. So I
So-
would love to hear more.
So maybe if you have suggestions, if anybody, especially people who are familiar with the island, like you are and other folks, could share those ideas with the two of you. I also might suggest that from a presentation point of view, to have somebody from the middle school with you would be advantageous.
Yes.
Because having the face of this presentation be just Barrows, I think makes it seem like it's primarily a Barrows trip. So
Right. And
That's it.
we 100%, you know, we've shared information with Carlos and we 100%, it would be a joint effort between us and whatever teachers step up from the middle school as well.
Hello, everyone. In the middle school here. Yeah. Yeah, no, so this opportunity was just presented to us and yeah, there's a lot of work and discussion we have to make. And like you were saying, your feedback is exactly what comes to my mind right away. I have done this in my previous district in Michigan. And so I know there's a lot of work. We have done that and we're doing every year. So I know it's a lot of work and yes, so we need to do a lot of, you know, collaboration and see exactly what is our situation with students with, in some ways, some of your families are the same, but for us is most of them. So we need to, I think, further meet and discuss that this is, like you're saying, something that just was presented to us and we need
thank you,
some time to-
Carlos.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry for
Tina
bombing
has
your-
her hand up and
Bombing your presentation.
wait,
Not at all.
Katina had her hand up and Mary had her, oh, Ilda had her hand up. Okay.
So I'm all for this. I would like to volunteer to be in the organizing since I'm an ambassador, although a bad ambassador to the middle school, but yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
All right.
Yes, we
Absolutely.
welcome
Welcomed
all
and
collaborative
thanked.
members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I've been
Katina.
marking our school
Ilda,
field trips.
Ilda?
She just wants to go, that's why.
Hey, you know, don't we all? I mean-
Well, if she, honey, right.
Right? So a couple of questions. So the money part, the money that you presented, now is that per person?
Mhm.
Okay, that's what I thought. And do you have a cutoff for when the kids can sign up, the students? No?
So, what the first step that would happen is if this is approved, immediately we would get in touch with Student Tours of America and they offer a virtual parent night. So parents can either come in person or sign in online. We would have translation available. And they would share all of the information about how you start up the account, how you fundraise, how the whole trip works. And so they would be the people who kind of get the ball rolling for us. And the sooner we do that, the more time that we have to actually raise the funds and get the trip organized.
So say you have 15 kids
Mhm.
and then 3 months later, 15 more want to go.
That's fine.
That's fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to have a minimum of 10 paying participants. That is our only restriction.
Okay, that's good. So what if, like, say the 30 kids that decide to go, none of them fundraise? I'm just saying hypothetical. None of them can go.
If they have not done any fundraising and don't have the funds to pay for the trip, then no, because I don't know where that money would come from.
Okay.
To be clear, when you looked at the list of options, there was community sponsorship
Mhm.
option. So there could be people in the community who could say, I could give $500, or I could give $150, or a business in town says, I would be willing to sponsor $5,000. And so you could see it building over time. There could be money going into a kitty that is not just for one individual child, but could be dispersed among the kids that are having trouble coming up with the money.
Yeah. if you-
So
Um,
are
understand
you
it's a
looking
lot of
for
work.
action? It says here action, possible action tonight, but then it says future date TBD.
So the reason that the dates have not been chosen is because we know it's going to happen during April vacation, but we didn't select
Okay.
if it would be like Sunday through Thursday. or
Okay,
Monday
so
through
you're
Friday.
saying the sooner we make a decision, the better, because that would give more time to do the work that needs to be done. Okay, thanks.
There's a statement here that there's some sort of reward for registration before July 1st, which I don't know if that's a monetary discount, but it certainly wouldn't work for us, given that we're not really going to be able to do anything until after July 1st. Are they willing? First of all, is it a monetary discount of some sort? And are they willing to push it forward, given that we're not doing this until next April?
I don't think that that date is flexible. It would be, they kind of give the July 1st to try to get people to sign on. So like in future years, if we say, yes, we're going to do this, we could definitely get there for the July 1st. We started the process when we came back from the conference, and it was just kind of a slow process because we had to get permission from Mr. McClure first, and then he said, go talk to Tracy and Neil. So we talked to Tracy and Neil, and then Tracy and Neil said, well, go talk to the subcommittee, and we talked to the subcommittee, and now we're here. So, it did kind of back up the process a little bit, but in the future, that would be something that we could take advantage of. Yes.
Thank you.
And I think if,
Any other questions? Oh, were you going to say something? Were you going
I
to
was
say
just gonna
something?
say, I wanted I've never spoken in front of you guys, so thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And I just kind of wanted to end on, the fact that, we know this is a difficult task. We know that logistically, there are a lot of things we have to work out. We know that there are a lot of challenges ahead of us, but we also know that our community here deserves the opportunity to be a leader in education in Connecticut. And we think that this trip has the potential to put Wyndham's 8th grade right there at the forefront of opportunities we're offering our students. So on that note, again, I just want to say thank you guys. And yeah. this was cool.
I think unless there's something pressing, we should move on because we have quite a full agenda tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have the first reading of a bunch of policies. I don't know who's going to guide us or whether we just want to open it up to questions, if anybody has questions based on what they read in their packets. Right, it's the first reading. So does anybody have any questions on C 1 through 4? Okay, we'll move on to policies for review, D 1 through 5. Any questions on that? Mary?
Yeah, I just wondered, where the ethics, kind of conflict of interest, those types of things, where they are, since it doesn't say if they're, what that is for the board. So. No, I mean, it's up here for possible repeal. So I'm just wondering if it's repealed, then is it because it's somewhere else, or is this not? Yeah.
are on item. D.
Policies for review is
So we're
item
not
D,
Repealing it.
not
tonight.
repealing.
Okay, so reviewing them, what's the next step?
Then next meeting, we will then vote on repealing them, right? Or keeping them.
Right, so my question just is, if we repeal them, is it because there's a duplicative or,
Because
this
they are no
information
longer
somewhere else?
necessary. They're no
Um,
longer necessary.
So for example, on the code of ethics, how does it comport with the code of ethics that we all have been asked to sign already as board members that
Mhm.
comes through the town? Right, so
It's not, yeah.
so I think
that's my
we need an answer before our next meeting about
Sure.
how the board would be affected by potential repeal of code of ethics. What would we be using, for example?
Thank you for the question. Now I understand.
Yeah.
And Neil will find that information for us. Thank you, Mary.
Or even, the other ones too, codes of conduct for data use or things
And-
like that.
And when we present, as usual, policies to repeal is because they are either included already in part of our policies and we have approved them already, and or they are no longer necessary to stand alone.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you.
I'm just particularly interested in the ethics because we already have signed an ethics policy an ethics agreement. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item is presentation of additional end of year data. And Neil, you taking this?
Good evening again. So on behalf of Dr. Youngberg, I'm going to present the end of year progress. The two objectives are to provide Board of Education members with additional information related to the district's end of year progress, and two, provide an opportunity for Board of Education members to ask questions or request additional information in order to complete the superintendent's annual evaluation. So on May 22nd, we gave a progress update by strategic priority. We had the green or the yellow check or red X if things respectively were on target as planned or will be on target or not on target. An end of year reflection by strategic priority was provided to the board on May 31st. And then a monthly staff celebrations email by strategic priority has occurred during the course of the year. So in speaking to the idea of continuing to build and support a resilient, supportive school climate across the district that will help our students succeed. Some of the data points here or some of the informational points are that celebrate this that have been done. We've reduced out of school suspensions. Out of school suspensions reduced drastically at the majority of the 5 of the district schools, specifically Natchog, North Windham, Barrows, Windham Middle School, and Phoenix Academy. Out of school suspensions remained flat at Windham High School. We had improved attendance rates. Attendance rates have increased at every school except the high school. And then meanwhile, while attendance is an issue at the high school, they've been working with CPRL and various attendance initiatives and strategies to help improve. And just also, while that's not listed here, our chronic absenteeism, several of our schools will be under 30% this year. Right now, we're in the last week. We're potentially, and we'll find out next week, Sweeney, Natchog, middle school, I'm feeling relatively confident, but it all depends on the last few days, and the district could be under 30%, which is our goal. So it's possible everybody except for Phoenix Academy and the high school will have that information for you next week once the year ends. Project-based learning was continued to be implemented across the district. Training was offered to new teachers at the beginning of the school year during our orientation week. In terms of social emotional wellness, SEL days were recognized and celebrated across the district through various events. Staff recognized their contributions through the Employee Recognition Program and continued use of DESA, Cognitive Behavior Intervention Trauma in School CBITS, and Bounce Back. Continued. So at the middle school, we mentioned the out-of-school suspensions reduced by 30% as compared to the 22-23 school year. Obviously, we're not quite out of the year, but that's as of today. Attendance rates showed a slight improvement. Their chronic absenteeism could show a 5 to 7% decrease, which would be fantastic. Expulsions, I mean, it's a small sample size, but reduced by 70%. School leadership is committed to continuous improvement of the school. Internal surveys used to drive improvements in safety and climate. And I'm looking forward to sharing the increased academic achievement in the areas of math, ELA, science, as well as our LAS growth. All of those you'll see are stronger over the last year and or last 2 years. Continued progress at the elementary school consolidation project. The board approved the building of the new K-4 elementary school on May 3rd, 2023. Elementary ed specs were approved by the board on October 18th, 2023. An ad hoc elementary consolidation construction planning committee, oh, that's a fun phrase, was formed. Website page was created for easy access to information. The presentation to town council was conducted in April 2nd. The town appropriated funded for preliminary work, and requests for proposals were prepared and posted May 8th through June 12th, and RFPs for project management firm opened today. Next slide. Okay, next task or bullet point was implement a survey tool that builds valuable input and engagement across the key stakeholder groups. There was a survey to staff, certified and non-certified, and students in grades 3 to 5 and 6 to 12, and families was conducted in the fall of 2023. All areas showed increase in participation over last year's district survey. Students, you could see there was a 60 to 78% increase, another increase in staff from low 40s to high 60s, and staff was 405 families to 880. Family percentages are difficult to calculate for a bunch of reasons. Survey committee comprised of district-wide members from multiple bargaining units. You heard them present here to the board, and the committee recommended surveys once per year, not twice, adjusted timing and audience, and the board approved on May 22nd, 2024. Opportunities for the board to hear directly from each school throughout the year. The What's Cool About Our School happened all year long. All schools presented with the unique aspects in their specific schools in a variety of ways, and each showed their own unique life force, as I like to call it, about what's special about them. The board ambassador program was rolled out with each board member selected or assigned to a school during the October 2023 board retreat. As far as creative approaches to promote connections with families, as a district, we continue to focus on multicultural events. Some examples listed here are the events that go on with the dual language grade 5 students at all 4 elementary schools in spring of 2024 with families of dual language grade 6 families at Wyndham Middle School. Interpretation at recent family forums regarding grade 5 returning to WMS and Wyndham Center closing. Sorry, when I say WMS, I'm used to using acronyms. Wyndham Middle School, my apologies. Closing at all 4 elementary schools, materials provided in English and Spanish. Hispanic Heritage Night at multiple schools or day celebrations such as Natchogs. All events were presented in English and Spanish at North Wyndham. All schools committed to trying new approaches or improving existing family engagement. Some examples included the Natchog Family Hub, the Sweeney Musical, in 2 languages, which is the second year they've done that. Build on the work of the teacher-involved committees, including sharing regular input with the board. We have included teacher-involved committees as well as a diverse range of staff members in several committees across the district, including Safety Committee, Survey Committee, the PDEC, our Professional Development and Evaluation Committee. Safety Committee feedback from staff drove the invitation to Willimantic Police Department to conduct trainings. Elementary staff input sought before adjusting the K-2 literacy expectation for 24-25. Yet some of the changes that were made were directly from the teachers and other staff, their thoughts on it. this one's so special, it's in blue font. And we're going to build on efforts to recruit and retain teachers who reflect the student population, particularly Spanish-speaking teachers. We have a higher percentage of teachers in colors than the state average. We continue our efforts to increase this percentage, as well as the number of bilingual educators. Examples include our Puerto Rican teacher recruitment, HR continued efforts on paths for teachers from Puerto Rico, our visiting international teacher recruitment that involves the multilingual department and HR. In 4 school years, we have filled 43 classroom teacher positions with international staff, primarily in our dual language and world language programs from Chile, Colombia, and Spain. And then there's breakdowns by year. We have also gained 5 non-certified Spanish-speaking bilingual staff through our visiting teacher program. We continue to collaborate with Connecticut universities, including student teachers and practicum, DSAPs for teachers pursuing shortage area endorsements and cross endorsements. Just an example, in the EAM department alone, since July 21, since July 21, our staff have earned 9 bilingual certs, 4 TESOL certifications, 2 world language certifications, 1 elementary ed cert, and 1 early childhood cert. Currently, we have another 6 teachers with DSAPs working on their bilingual certs. 4 of them are also working on their elementary ed certs. All of these teachers are Latino, Latina, and all of these teachers are bilingual, Spanish, English, and all of these teachers currently serve in our dual language program. So we're really proud of that. In May 2022, the district created and board approved our Section 127 Educational Assistant Plan, which allows for 10 full-time certified and 5 full-time non-cert staff to apply for up to $5,250 in tuition reimbursement for courses they pursue that further their careers in education. 15 people were approved for it last year, and another 15 people were approved for it this year. A number of those people are also representative of our student populations, both racially and linguistically, and some of them also serve in shortage areas. Again, this was mentioned earlier in our educators of colors as compared to students of color from 2009-24. You could see the trend that's occurring in Wyndham versus the state of Connecticut is advantageous to us, although we're always looking to close that gap. It's obviously, we always want to make that narrower than it currently is, but we are moving in the right track there. And thank you for listening to me. Any questions or comments?
Mary?
Yeah, where it says the 5 non-certified Spanish-speaking staff through visiting teachers, who are those people? What are the positions?
I'm going to ask Ms. Brunei to come up.
Hi, sorry, Mary, one more time.
It says we also have gained 5 non-certified Spanish-speaking bilingual staff through the
Sure.
visiting teacher program. So
Sure, family members that come with visiting teachers, they are on a J2 visa. J2s for any employer can work as long as they have US work authorization. And so some of our visiting teachers have family members, adult children or spouses who have also been able to be employed with us for openings and as paras or tutors, non-certified. So we have a building sub right now. We had a long-term sub who actually is a licensed teacher. We've had a para in early childhood. We've had a para at Wyndham Center. And I think there was a tutor at Natog at one point. So yeah, they come here, they want to work as long as they have all the appropriate documentation and credentials. That's an opportunity for them and for us.
Thank you, Beth. Anybody else have any questions for Neil? Okay, Neil, thank you for pinch hitting for Tracy tonight.
You're welcome.
And now we're on to budget transfers. Holly sent out an updated information to the board members before tonight with the budget transfers. And Mark, do you want to lead that part of the discussion, or Rita?
Refer to our financial expert, Rita.
Okay, Rita, go ahead.
Hi. So the main reason why I needed the budget transfers to be on this agenda is there was a budget transfer that's about 300,000. All the others are below 50,000, but we can go through any of the ones you have questions on. They start on page 20 because we weren't, we didn't have a finance and audit committee today, so we haven't discussed them.
But you're looking for tonight for us to approve a total of 849,980. Is that it?
Correct.
Okay. So do people have any questions about any of those transfers? You got the information yesterday, I believe.
And the largest one is the last one that has a lot of the salary overage and underage, but some of it's going to the 2% carryover, as we've discussed in the past, and that is 159,000, and 119,000 is going to Chromebooks. So that's basically the overview of that large transfer.
Right, the 200, the reminder, the 2% carryover is what we approved when we approved our budget earlier. It was approved by the town also. Okay, I don't see any questions. So unless people have any questions that I haven't noticed yet, we'll be entertaining a motion to approve those budget transfers under action items. Okay, thanks, Rita. Okay, now we're on to action items. We already did item A. So item B, action on the 8th grade trip to Puerto Rico sometime during the April break, dates yet to be finalized. Does somebody want to make a motion on that?
I would love to make a motion that we move to approve the 8th grade trip to Puerto Rico of Wyndham Middle School and Barrows in the spring vacation.
I second it.
Who seconded it? Ilda?
Ilda.
Okay. Motion made by Katina, seconded by Ilda. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of going forward with this, please indicate so by raising your hands. Any opposition? One opposition, one opposed. I do hope, this is an experiment that I hope goes well. And I think we really need to redouble our efforts to involve more people in the discussion of the trip. So thank you very much for your initiative, and we look forward to hearing more about this. Next, you're welcome. Action on the proposed addition of early dismissal days to the 2024-2025 calendar, and those dates are the 25th of September, the 23rd of October, the 20th of November, the 15th of January, and the 5th of February.
So moved.
Motion made by Brendan,
Second.
seconded by Alicia. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please
Question.
Paula.
Was this part of the teacher input as well? Is that where
I
a
think
lot of
that's
this
what
came
Neil
from?
explained to us earlier. Yeah.
Thank you.
The different bargaining units. Mary? Did you have your hand up, Katina? Okay. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay, motion carries. And then we have action on policies to be repealed. So I would entertain a motion to take action on these items D1 through 8.
So moved.
Motion made by Katina,
Second.
Seconded by Paula. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. And then action on item E, which is a policy to be repealed or replaced. Number one, there's just one item. I'll entertain a motion. Motion made by Katina,
Second.
seconded by Brendan. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay, motion carries. Then we have action on the IDEA grant application. I'd entertain a motion to approve moving forward on that. Motion made by Mark,
Second.
seconded by Alicia. Any questions, comments? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay. And then it was in your packet, action of a donation on a donation valued at 1,600 from Ed Vining, alumni sportswear. Somebody want to make that motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Ilda,
Second.
seconded by Dionisi. Any further discussion? Mark?
I'm appreciative of the donation and certainly thank him for it. I'm a little concerned about us placing the value of $1,600 on it. I have no objection to us writing him with a letter indicating that he donated the items, but I don't think we're in a position to actually evaluate their worth. That's my only concern. I have no problem putting the letter in and then letting him justify his worth on his taxes. I don't know if that's a needless concern or not, but that's my concern.
Are you suggesting you'd like the motion to just not have a dollar amount?
Yes, I'm suggesting we don't put a dollar amount in.
I'm
Unless-
looking at Holly. I don't know whether, is there something we should know, Holly? You have to come up and speak into a mic.
There was an email that came from the middle school when this was requested. I believe the donation, the amount of the donation and the value of it was discussed with the middle school, and the middle school was the one who actually gave me the dollar amount. But I believe it came from Ed Vining himself.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Mark, are you still interested in having it, the dollar amount?
I'm concerned about it. I don't know that I have the actual authority to value. See, I'm concerned about placing the value on it. For instance, in my distant past, in the cars, when you donated a car, it was up to you to do the value, not up to the people who took the car in. It's
Right, but in the past, we've often had dollar amounts in accepting gifts, so.
yeah, accepting gifts, true, but this is a letter to the IRS that says it's
Right,
tax deductible.
okay. So
Just saying-
who made the motion? Rita.
If it's not
We
a
have
major
Rita who
concern-
wants to
I
say
just wanna-
something.
I do agree with Mark with not putting a dollar figure on it because it is physical items. And I'm sorry if I didn't,
Okay,
wasn't in the chain.
okay. So who made that motion? I can't remember. Ilda, would you agree to that motion without the dollar amount in it?
I guess so. I think what he's giving $1,600 worth of work. Cause it looked to me like it was a check,
No.
but it's work.
No, I believe that they were
No, it's-
T-shirts.
it's
So we
t-shirt.
can state how many T-shirts he's donated, but the value of those T-shirts is hard to determine.
So I think we need to defer to our finance person. if-
Because we
yeah.
will be giving the letter and our FEIN number to the company. So I do think we should be more specific on the donated items. Because you're right, it was not a gift, it was not a check, it was not cash. So
It's
it was
sportswear.
T-shirts.
Right, yeah.
So I would be comfortable changing that if I knew how many T-shirts he was giving us.
I agree with you. Do we know? Holly?
It says 200.
Oh, it said 200. Oh.
So
it's
I
in the-
changed my motion.
So
to
can we
say
just say acceptance of 200
100
t-shirts?
Just like when we accept the backpacks, you know,
Right.
in the beginning of the year, that type of thing.
Okay, we're changing the motion to accepting a donation of 200 t-shirts
What's your
from
second?
sportswear shirts from Ed Vining.
And I approve that.
Okay, who seconded that motion? Was it
I
you,
did. I
DNAC?
second it.
Are you fine with that?
I am totally
Okay.
fine.
Are you clear, Holly? We're just saying what we're accepting, not the dollar amount. Okay, all those in favor of the motion on the floor, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay, motion carries. And then I'll entertain a motion to approve budget transfers of $849,980.
So moved.
Motion made by Brendan,
Second.
seconded by Katina. Yes, Mary?
I just want to say in the future, we do need to have the things that, 2 days in advance. And also I do want to once more say the forensic analysis we had a few years ago did say it's a best practice not to have the finance and audit meeting on the same night as a Board of Ed meeting.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion on the floor, please indicate by raising your hand. Are you going to abstain, Mary? Mary's abstaining. Okay, thank you very much. And now I will entertain a motion to go into executive session for two purposes. A, for the purpose of discussion concerning an attorney-client communication related to an employee separation agreement. And B, for the purposes of discussion concerning the superintendent's evaluation and contract. And our attorney, Jessica Ritter, is invited to join us. This is in the motion, is invited to join us for the executive session, as well as Grace, the head of HR.
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Ilda, seconded by Katina. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. We're going to go into executive session where we are going to be meeting in private. When we come back, there will be time for public comment, but there will be no action item when we come back. Thank you. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn at 9:16 PM.
I move, we move.
Meeting adjourned.